Hello and welcome to Pricing College with your hosts Aidan Campbell
and Joanna Wells.
In today's episode we want to take a look at discounting and sales and different price promotions, predominantly in retail, B2C, business to consumer, whether in bricks and mortar classic stores for shopping or online as well. Anything really where you're trying to sell a product or service to customers and you've got a sign up saying discount, sale this weekend, sale this long weekend, 30% off, etc. And just talk about, why you might want to do that, some of the things to be aware of, and also, potentially are there legal issues to this? Will the Competition Commission in Australia or other countries like the ACCC, what do they have to say on the topic?
Yeah, price promotions in B2C have been and are incredibly powerful levers to drive, firstly, new traffic to retail stores and online channels, but also as a way to test and trial new pricing approaches. So, over the years, retailers have known that the psychology behind discounting is something they really need to utilise to reach their targets, but also to connect with the end consumer and shopper. Shoppers alike, when you see, that big red sign, 25% off some of your favourite goods in the brands that you love, you go, that is enough. It motivates you to go into the store and have a look around. And often you come out of the store and not even buying anything on the sale, buying what you actually want, which is not promoted. And that's something that retailers also know. I think, in terms of the customer experience over the years, customers have become quite wary and educated, I suppose, about pricing and the use of price promotions to attract their attention and potentially to switch them from from their existing brands and habits to new brands. And there's been a lot of recently, as we lead up to Christmas, retailers trying to really grab online consumers' attention, potentially advertising their business over other businesses, utilising price, potentially a little too much to win the market share online. And a lot of customers have, in a way, feel like rejected that, and they feel, in a way, it could be misleading. I think today we'll just be talking about that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I think there's I suppose we're all experienced in both going into shops and also seeing stuff in online. Like online, I think nearly every day you get a coupon code sent through. If you've bought something online, you might get a coupon code, 20% off, 30% off. What is the rationale for these promotions? To reward existing customers, I suppose, to encourage, the list that they have. Clearly, they're the most, you've already bought the product, you're a warm lead. Clearly, the cost of acquisition of getting that customer is lower. So giving a discount to get them back is it's a lot easier to shout 20% off than to say, come back and buy more of the same. So, I can completely understand why people are doing that. Other companies you'll have, I suppose you'll just have this promotion you'll often get on bank holiday weekends. Maybe the stores are trying to promote to people, don't go to the beach, don't go, on a trip this weekend, go shopping. Maybe it's just to promote a different leisure activity to drive them to the stores. And that could make sense. Other reasons I can think of potentially are you just want to get rid of old stock. It could be a legitimate closing down sale. It could be a fire sale of last season's merchandise. And again, that can make a lot of sense. And then also we have these, to some extent, weird promotions, like, to me at least, weird. I'm sure other people think not. Black Friday, which I believe is the Friday after Thanksgiving, I think, in the United States, which is now taken off worldwide, where companies offer very large discounts to drive you into the shopping season prior to Christmas and New Year's and stuff like that. So those make a huge amount of sense. One other point I'd like to make is some brick and mortar retailers, and the one I'm thinking of here is Myer in Australia. It's sort of probably a middle of the road department store, old style department store, and they often, nearly every weekend, they'll have big promotions on. But numerous times I've selected an item from the shelf, gone to the desk, not knowing there was a discount, and when you get to the desk, they're like, "Oh, there's 20% off this," and I'm like, "Well, that discount is preposterous. I was going to pay the full price," and it's not actually achieving any marketing objectives. It's not bringing extra people into the store, and it's not even, once I'm in the store, it's not driving the purchase. So it's almost the worst of both worlds. So there is a lot to be careful for. You really got to think of, what is the promotion, what are you hoping to achieve with it. Is it to meet quarterly targets that stockholders want? Those things have to be considered. Just dropping price, again, is it an elastic good? Will dropping price actually bring in people, or is it just a cheaper way of advertising?
Often, from what I've seen, when people work out the financials of a price promotion, they're very much looking at top-line revenue, and they're not looking at the full profitability of that promotion. In many ways, I think it is a sort of a knee-jerk reaction to fulfilling sort of financial targets internally, but really not thinking about the ramifications long-term of those promotions. A few years ago, we would see from promotions, one of the negative effects would be, especially in retail, FMCG, consumers would almost predict when the price promotion would occur on their favourite items, and pantry load, so they would stockpile and just buy as much as they could of that product and just sit on it, because they thought, all right, we know there's a promotion, usually it's at this price, now it's much cheaper, we'll just buy lots of it. And that in turn impacted the profitability of the firms and the supermarket from that stockpiling, because obviously the following weeks and days' sales dropped massively. Now, however, there's a sort of a new play, as Aidan was discussing there. There's so many promotions being advertised both online and in store. Everyone's promoting all the time, so almost like it's just lowered the average price point, really, retail price, because people don't really trust the recommended retail anymore, because they know, there's always promotion. So in a sense, that is the new price, and people know it, and they're just going to wait until, if there's a few days or a couple of weeks of their favourite item not being on promotion, it's all guaranteed that it's going to be on promotion soon. Another impact of price and promotion, especially in the supermarket, we've seen, because the pricing been bouncing up and down for so many years using promotional pricing, that supermarkets have introduced this everyday low price, and literally forcing firms, FMCG manufacturers, to put a lot of their keystone brands on this everyday low price program. And massively reducing their margins by doing so, and simply because of that sort of high-low pricing that was implemented to drive sales. High-low pricing is another word used in FMCG as for that price promotion action by discounting. So, there are parameters being put in place to ensure that the price promotions are more effective. However, I still believe that there's much more work that can be done to connect promotions with end consumer behaviour, spending, how they buy, when they buy, and what they value. So there's a spending behaviour and also key value drivers. I think this is still a very underexplored and undiscovered area. And I say this because often price promotions are not targeted on the right categories or the right set of products at the right time, simply because the company doesn't have that insight or data or knowledge on how to set prices based on a customer needs and to move quickly according to shifting changes in end consumer and shopper behaviour. Hence, this is the new and biggest area for profit loss, over and above that older school sort of dropping price and then consumers pantry loading, which was the big thing before, to that impacted profit more. Now it's more subtle shifts. So it really does require more agile pricing to be able to capture these new and quite small, incremental price gains, but highly profitable ones. And this in turn requires the right pricing team. Often a lot of businesses still don't have a pricing team to oversee price and promotions. It's still largely dictated by sales and product managers. They also don't have the right pricing system or an optimized commercial structure to embed the processes required to A, learn, to A, test and trial new price points, or any capability programs to improve teams. And this is including sales and revenue management teams' capability in terms of how they can set prices based on consumer and end consumer behavior and value drivers.
Yeah, like I think when you're getting into this sort of consumer discounting, it really is data heavy. You know, I don't think it's the sort of thing you want to get into without knowing what you're doing. You know, I think a lot of this stuff, I don't think there's many new promotions out there. Most of them are related to a discount versus a prior price, a short-term price where you're creating sort of impetus in the consumer to, you know, a short time limit, potentially a 2-for-1 deal. Like those classics, to be honest, they've probably been around certainly since the beginning of the last century or midway through it. There's not much new under the sun, but the outcome, I'd be very interested, pardon me, to know the actual outcome financially, profit-wise that these things have. Joanna also mentioned, you know, are they cannibalizing purchases just later in the season? You know, some of the shops, you get used to seeing, you know, shops that just have permanent sales to the point where it becomes almost an in-joke. I used to live in England, and there was a shirt retailer called TM Lewin that permanently had sales, 2-for-1 deals, that seemed to be, I don't think I ever saw it without a sale. The classic, of course, are closing down sales in stores that never close. And, you know, the Kogan issue where they promoted that they were going to have I believe it was a short-term discount that just for this weekend that in reality rolled on much, much longer. So, you know, I think I can't remember what that business guru who said that if you don't measure it, you can't really, you know, improve stuff. And I think when you're doing these discounts, you really need to measure it. You need to measure it. Testing, constant analytics, and it's a very data-heavy system and approach that is needed. The only other one I was going to point out is that I thought was very interesting recently. Promotions, one other actually, JB Hi-Fi in Australia. There's so many promotions on when you walk into the store that, to be honest, you never actually know what is being promoted, to the point where it feels like nothing is being promoted. And the other one I thought, I was in Coles, which is a major supermarket here in Australia, and the new promotion is not a promotion. The new discount is basically a sign saying price is locked, which basically means prices stay the same. And that was being promoted as a discount. I suppose in real terms with this era of inflation, that is a discount. But I still thought it was a novel way to shout, price is locked. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, price is locked comes from that EDLP program, Everyday Low Prices, where, you know, they lock bestseller items, keystone items that customers love into this, you know, locked price or bandwidth of price to ensure consumers who obviously are feeling the pressure of rising interest rates that they are doing their utmost to protect and to ensure that they're thinking about the customer at this difficult time. And that's another sort of advertising. And it does really help, differentiate businesses in terms of how they advertise their pricing for, to consumers. And some consumers value that. Others are a bit more wary about that. In terms of new things, you said you haven't seen anything new. I think one thing that did come to mind when I was in the supermarket there and working with FMCG. You know, there's huge amounts of consumer research out there that says, you know, people are very occupied and preoccupied with their health. They want to see brands that are healthier options. that help them with their diets, their new health regimes, really help change their lifestyle, improve, but also be convenient, not difficult to open, easy to access, easier for guilt-free little treats that you can give to your kids without having to give them the whole big family pack and thinking, oh God, they've just eaten that whole bag of chips, that sort of thing. So what I'm seeing is that research is filtering down finally into price and promotions, into the product innovation, into the types of products that we're seeing. In particular, in terms of that smaller package of the salty good snacks and cereals, a more creative packaging in that regard. But you mentioned there, in terms of promoting that, companies use bundling as a way to do that. The interesting new thing that I've seen is the bundling strategy applied to products that have been, reduced in size, i.e. known as shrinkflation. And so people are buying more of much smaller items and paying a higher price for doing so, and interestingly are not rejecting the price rise, because essentially it's a huge price rise on a massively reduced amount of products. But psychologically, the customer still wants more of it, so they're actually buying the same as they've always done, but just paying much more for the smaller, more packaging essentially. So I think that's a very clever way. We're seeing massive profitable price increases that have not been rejected through smarter application of consumer insights and also value drivers. And that really is all that esoteric stuff, what is value drivers, what is consumer spending, how we implement that in terms of price setting and product promotions. That's a complete instance of that, and it's working. So I think overall, avoid, the sort of the obvious things like, the Persian rug carpet and closing down sale type of effect. If you're going to run a promotion, don't just, hike up the retail price to then discount to provide an enormous discount, knowing that it's not really a discount at all because people are onto it. If you're increasing overall average prices in your list price and then you're promoting, just make sure that the timing of the promotion versus the list price optimization is in line and it's abiding by ACCC rules. And think about, the best way to build long-term profitability is honestly to generate value for the business, but for its customers too. That can be your B2B customers as well as, the end consumers we've been discussing and the shopper. If you can get that right, that is the key to unlocking your pricing power, and both through price and promotion, increasing overall average prices, or an overt price rise strategy. I suppose that's my final comment on that.
I suppose my final point, really wrap up, would be, what are you trying to do with this discount? It's like anything else in pricing. What is your objective? Have that clear. Don't just go out with a discount just for the sake of a marketing promotion. That you haven't thought through what the income will be or the outcome will be. So really dig into that first, work out what you're trying to do. And then, of course, utilize those classics, time restraints to lead to, people go out and do it this weekend, etc. Discounts versus other things whereby people think it's a great deal and all that sort of stuff. But bearing in mind that really the ACCC guidance in Australia is basically do not mislead, and it's there to protect consumers, not really businesses, but to protect consumers from misleading stuff. So just don't be misleading, don't be permanently closing down. But yeah, take advantage of those psychological techniques. Of course, the Cialdini book is probably one of the better ones on that influence, I think, on the way to look into that and to really look at the techniques. Any marketing and salesperson will also know those things. It's that lead to increased sales. But, is increasing sales, is it just for volume? Is it to drive people into stores? Is it to sell them peripheral or ancillary products? All those things you have to look at. And obviously data big data, metadata, those sort of things really are becoming more and more prerequisites. So that's it from me today. I think have a great weekend.
Yeah, have a good weekend. Bye.